brothers and sisters, we've all turned up the radio to hear Brother Jimmy Lakey, from coast to coast and shore to shore. Now raise your voice. Oh, let us all, Jimmy Lakey, get out of bed. Jimmy Lakey, raise your voice. Jimmy Lakey, Lakey, hey, can't live without it with Jimmy Lakey. Jimmy Lakey.
All right, good morning. Just trying to add on a head tilt like Sinatra. So it looks better on Sinatra, doesn't it? Anyway, good to have everybody here. It's a glorious day the Lord has made, the 26th day of March, year of our Lord, 2025. Jimmy is my name. My hat's all crooked. The choir has informed you. Jimmy Lakey is my name. Pleasured, pleased, and thrilled every day, whether we're listening live right now on platforms all across the intergoogles and the interwebs, or throughout the day. People pick up on the show and watch it throughout the day. It's not just the live audience. There's all sorts of people watching it. Just to introduce myself, my name is Jimmy Lakey. That's as the choir has informed you, and years and years in corporate radio. And then I saw the downfall of corporate radio got kicked to the curb because they said, we don't like local guys. We don't want to care about the community and local news stories. So they kicked my butt to the curb, and here I am doing what the good Lord intended us to be doing today, and that's me behind a microphone, you in front of a speaker, and now in front of a monitor, and glad to have you here. Jaime Lagos is what they call me, south of the border, but you can call me Jimmy or Jaime. Either way, it all works for me. Good morning, everybody. Whatever platform you're on, if you're on one of the many Facebook pages we're streaming on, if you're on any of the Twitter feeds that are being shared right now, maybe you're on the YouTube, whatever it is, most of those platforms have an opportunity for you to make comment, and those comments show up right there in the studio with producer Chad. Hello, producer Chad, right over there behind the camera. Well, not really. He's not a cameraman. He's a producer. He's sitting in one of those high back chairs as if he's a lifeguard over the set here. So anyway, he screens the comments, and he will make sure that you're making sense. And if you don't make sense, he'll probably still put it on the screen. We have very low standards on the program. That's why I'm the one allowed behind the microphone. All right. Also, a lot of folks like to let us know where they're listening at or watching at. So feel free in the comments. Rumble, you have so on the right side of your screen, I believe, it says live chat, and we will see all those, and we'd love to have you do that. Also, if you're out there, stream, share it to your neighbors and say, come join me. It's a listening party with Lakey. You don't have to say it like that, but you get the idea. A couple of news stories I want to get to. Ready? News? Here's some news. Let's do the news, my friends. Let's do the news. Nobody does the news like Lakey does the news. You're welcome. All right, here we go. Big controversy over the last 24 hours. I think they're making a big deal out of it. But it's been the controversy of the Signal app. Anybody have the Signal app? I used to have the Signal app. I have several friends that, and I finally had to minimize. I had some friends that wanted to chat on Signal. I had some of my conspiracy friends that turned out to be the truth tellers, wanted during the times of the COVID booger cootie virus, they wanted me to chat on Signal. Then I had some people wanted me on Telegram. And everybody had like a different communication app. And I finally said, screw it. I'm not talking to you. I'm not alone getting your app. I just stopped talking to people. But I think I have Signal on my phone. Probably still it's there. I don't know if I used it, but it has been a bit very... I'm reading the comment. You see that one? It's a beautiful Mormon. Good morning. It's like, who's talking about Mormons in the chat rooms already? And it's somebody, and I was like, I just see things out of my eye. I'm like, Mormons. So the Mormons, are we talking about Mormons today? No, they meant to say morning. It's a beautiful morning. That's okay. Sorry. It just caught my eye. I was distracted. So anyway, the Signal app has been controversial the last 24, 48 hours because evidently there was somebody on the Michael Waltz, the National Security Director, his staff that inadvertently, I guess, added a reporter or the editor of The Atlantic onto a chat that was talking about foreign policy and national security plans. And so the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic went to press with it and said, here's what I learned and here's what was said. And Michael Waltz said he takes full responsibility. So a couple of stories on this. I want to kind of update you. Haven't been following. They've been making a real big deal about it. Real big deal. Now, it's bad. It's not good that this happens. You don't want this to happen. Mike Waltz says he takes full responsibility for the accident Tuesday night, he says he takes full responsibility, adding to a journalist a national security discussion. It was one of his staffers or trying to get to the bottom of it. President Donald Trump said Tuesday that an investigation into the incident found that the journalist was added by one of his staffers who told the reporters who had the reporters' numbers in his phone. Jeffrey Goldberg is the guy, the Atlantic's editor-in-chief, was accidentally added to a text chain that included Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Michael Waltz, Vice President J.D. Vance, and 15 other national security advisors. The discussion was regarding the Defense Department's plans to strike the Houthis in Yemen. Goldberg said he had received the invitation to join the chat by Waltz and the National Security Council, and the thread appeared to be authentic. Waltz accepted responsibility in an interview with Fox News and Laura Ingraham. I take full responsibility. I built the group. I built it. My job is to make sure everything is coordinated. Waltz added that they are still trying to figure out exactly what happened, but indicated without evidence that Goldberg could have deliberately tried to join the chat. So they're trying to figure it out. The bottom line is that they do need to figure this out. So they need to figure it out. If there's a staffer that is that incompetent, that staffer should at least be reprimanded. Who added it? Who had the name? They said it's the staffer who had the Goldberg on his phone. So, yes, they do need to get to the bottom of it. I am not discounting, nor am I poo-pooing the fact that they should be getting to the bottom of it. However, the same people that were apoplectic all day yesterday about Michael Waltz and should he resign and should Trump fire him. And Trump says, I'm very comfortable, got an explanation. We got it under control. Everybody's settled down. You don't have to go all bat crap crazy on every story just because it's a Trump administration. But that's the media. Everything is 0 to 75 in just 2.6 seconds. They're always just maximizing, and everything is a crisis when the media tries to cover Trump. And so what I think you end up happening is America goes, okay, you just you can't scream fire every day and expect every day people to empty the movie theater. The problem is one day you may have a real fire and no one's going to believe you. It is a boy cried wolf scenario is what you have here. So, but for those of you with your hair on fire about Michael Waltz and this reporter getting added to the Signal Lab, I want to take you back in time, a little flashback in history, if we may, to Joe Biden. I'll go to the headlines. This is from, let me pull it up here. Headlines. This is AP, Associated Press. This was in 2024. President Joe Biden worked so closely with the ghostwriter, whom he accused of sharing his classified secrets, that he once declared that he'd trust the author with his life. The bottom line is, does anybody remember that Joe Biden actually gave classified secrets and classified information to his ghostwriter while he was writing a book? A lot of folks that don't follow talk radio don't even know that. He shared the classified materials. He kept them he shared them with his ghostwriter, and they were writing a book, and he just kept sharing information. In February 8th of a year or so ago, press conference responding to Special Counsel Sir's classified document report, Joe Biden made misleading and inaccurate statements about the documents, including how documents are always stored in lockable cabinets in his home and who the material was shared with and the points of report. But Biden's statements, this is from PolitiFact, Biden's statements are not true. So just go back in history and remember when Joe Biden shared actual classified documents and classified information, and he did that with his biographer. And most people never cover the story. This is right about the time that Robert Hur, the special counsel, said we should probably charge the guy with naughty things. But if we charge him, he would never be found guilty because a grand jury would find him sympathetic, and they'd just be a doddering old man that can't remember what day of the week it is. He doesn't even remember what year his son died and didn't remember what years he was VP. So Joe Biden obviously was let off the hook, but Joe Biden actually did leak confidential information. So if you want to, all of you with your hair on fire, the Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, and all these people wanting to do this Signal story over and over again. And again, I'm not saying, I say get to the bottom of it, figure it out. But those of you who want to continue to have your hair on fire on this story, you only are justified in having your hair on fire on this story if you had your hair on fire about the Joe Biden leaking his documents and information to his biographer. Then you have justification. It's kind of like if you want to lecture us on national security, we talked about yesterday, and you want to say what a threat to national security this is. Don't lecture us about national security right now. You spent the last 3 to 4 years letting the southern border be an wide open, just floodgate coming into America. So you have no moral high ground. The point that I continue to make about today's Democrat Party is that they oftentimes try to act like they have some moral high ground above Donald Trump, above his administration. And I don't see any moral high ground that the modern day Democrats could possibly ever stand on. So again, here's your measure. Here's your standard. Here's the weight and the balance. If you decided, oh, by the way, that's a great meme there. The hills the Democrats have chosen to die on. They have no moral high ground. They're defending illegal immigration, defunding the police. They've done that one. They've no voter ID to vote. They die on the hill of transgender children, critical race theory, abortion on demand, men and women's sports, defending fraud, waste, and abuse of the government, student loan forgiveness, no cash for bail. You get the idea. I hate to read a list like that. I feel like it sounds like a Sean Hannity show, but you get the idea. The Democrats have no moral high ground because these are the issues that they champion. So as they're going after Michael Waltz and demanding a resignation and demanding a firing, listen, if your hair was not on fire about Joe Biden and his dementia and Joe Biden and his poopy pants and Joe Biden leaking information to his biographer all because he wanted to write another book about himself, the narcissist pig that he is, if your hair wasn't on fire about that, don't get your hair on fire about Michael Waltz, period. The end. Democrats, listen to Lakey. I'm being honest with you. It's friend to friend here. You have no moral high ground. Absolutely no moral high ground. If you want to scream about this is a national security threat, if you didn't say the same thing about Biden giving the documents and the information to his biographer, shut your pie hole. You have no moral high ground. If you were not concerned about national security when illegals were flooding across the border for the last 4 years, then then shut your pie hole. You have no moral high ground, and stop lecturing us as if you do, because morality, morals, and high ground have nothing to do with today's Democrat Party. That's my opinion, and I'll stick with it. You're welcome. Speaking of the Signal app, anybody see this story? This is a story that's been out for about a week. This is a Colorado-centric story, but again, don't lecture us about moral high. Why are they using the Signal app? They're supposed to be using a skiff and a private. The Signal app is one that's widely used by a lot of government officials. As a matter of fact, right here in the great state of Colorado, it was greater before Jared Polis became your governor. But it's still a great state. America's first a conservative legal group, is closely tied to the Trump administration, they say. Well, what they found out, CBS News investigation found that Denver Mayor Mike Johnson and his staff have begun communicating on Signal. It's an end-to-end encryption app that can automatically delete messages. Just 3 weeks ago, it was discovered through an open records request that Johnston, the mayor of Denver, who's a buffoon, and the city all the people were communicating on one topic in Signal, and that was handling of illegal immigration. In a written statement, America's first legal who brought attention to this reacted to the CBS investigation, said it's no coincidence that Mayor Johnston and his team took steps to make their communications on illegal alien crisis harder to access just weeks after we launched an investigation to obtain the very records and the communication. CBS News of Denver reported last week that Johnston and his 14 top advisors, his appointees, his lawyers, they had nicknamed themselves Strike Force and communicated about the city's illegal immigration crisis through Signal, and then proceeded to automatically delete their initial conversations. A spokesperson for the buffoon Mike Johnston, mayor of Denver, said Signal messaging was prompted by President Trump and how his administration could have significant impacts on how Denver operates. In a new statement, America's first legal foundation said it's committed to exposing the city's role in facilitating this public safety crisis and holding those responsible accountable. So Mike Johnson says, we're communicating on Signal because we don't want Donald Trump to know what we're doing. Well, Donald Trump's trying to get rid of the most dangerous of the illegals out of your city, the Tren de Aragua, the gang members out of your city. So if you don't want Donald Trump to know, that means Mike Johnson is basically he's trying to keep the actions of a sanctuary city very, very, very quiet. That's what Mike Johnson is trying to do. He wants the actions of his city and the actions of hiding illegals and blocking ICE. He wants it to be, again, this is Mike Johnston, who thought at one point he was man enough that he was going to go to the city limits and he was going to stand up to the bad guys. He's going to fight himself. The guy would lose a fight in the bathroom with a fourth grader. I mean, he's a little putz is what he is. And, bring it on. What is it about these Democrats? Tim Walz, remember the governor of Minnesota, saying, I think I could kick most of their butts. And Mike Johnson's, I'm going to fight ICE. And now he's so cowardly that he's hiding everything about thwarting the Trump administration and Tom Homan. They're putting on a signal lab. So again, Democrats, please don't lecture us about moral high ground. You have a a mayor of a big city that just a week ago was called and drug up to testify before Congress for having an illegal sanctuary city and running an illegal alien safe haven. Don't lecture us about moral high ground and national security when Mike Johnson is such a threat to national security of the city of Denver, and he's one of your glory boy mayors that he's purposely chatting and tweeting and with his friends on a signal app about how they can avoid Tom Homan, and they want the messages to disappear so that they're not held in violation of law and so that there's no track record that they did this and they just say it happened. They want to hide their actions as a sanctuary city. Hey, Denver, all of America should know that you are a sanctuary city. Hey, Colorado, all of America should know that you are a sanctuary state. It's actually codified into law, signed by the beady little hands of Jared Polis, that if a sheriff or a police officer has an illegal in there and there's an ICE in the jail and there's an ICE detainer that's put on the prisoner and said, keep him, we'll come get him. It's illegal for the local sheriff's department to cooperate with the police department to cooperate. They would rather release these people into the wild rather than allow ICE into the jails. You hear what happened to Boston? This is fantastic. In Boston, they were complaining. They arrested like 200 dangerous criminals, gang members, and then there are about 100. They called them collateral damage. And the people of the mayor of Boston, the area started squawking, you said you were just going after the dangerous criminals. Again, hair on fire. And Tom Homan responded, yeah, if you would have let us into jails to pick them out of the jail, and instead of letting them roam the streets when we knew we were coming, you let them out of jail, then we would have just taken those 200. But since you let them out and go to homes and houses and wherever they went to, we found collateral damage. So, yeah, this person might not have been a gang member, but they were hanging out, but they're still illegal. So, hey, you made it easier, and you actually helped us deport more people. So it's the equal and opposite reaction that some of these policies have had. Anyway, again, Democrats, the theme of the last 2 days has been please don't lecture us about moral high ground. Please don't. Rachel says, Facebook did not notify me today. I had to search for you. I'm sorry about that. Your algorithms were not working well. By the way, always know where we're at. We're here 8 o'clock Mountain Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, right almost on the nose every day. And good morning, beautiful morning in Arkansas. Hello, Arkansas. How are you? Been many years since I've been to Arkansas. Always know where we're at it because, like yesterday, the Instagram was down. And as a matter of fact, I need to check it. We're not live. Got to go live on Instagram. That's my bad. There's a second button to push on Instagram, and I didn't push it, but we're pushing it now. So, hello, good morning, Instagram. Good to have you here on the gram. Pleasure. But always know where we're at it. So, if your Instagram feed is down, know that you can find us on YouTube. Know that you can find us on Rumble. Know that you can find us on 3 or 4 Facebook pages. Facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey fan page. Just type that whole thing in. Make sure you find us on Facebook.com/Red Wave America. You can also find us on Facebook.com/The Media Equalizer. So always know the backup so that if the Facebook gods or the Twitter gods or Zuckerberg or somebody gets ticked off, feel free to always find us on another platform. Or Instagram is just my name, by the way. That's Instagram. And don't forget, we're coming to TikTok. I still haven't taken the TikTok lessons. I was very busy yesterday, but Lakey's coming to TikTok. And all you we still don't know what they call it. If you put out, do you put out a tick or a talk? Like on Twitter, you put out a tweet. On X, you put out a X. It's weird. I still don't get that one. I mean, I love Brother Elon, but I still don't understand the X. So Brother Mike is on X. X is your backup. Everybody, remember as a child, I remember as a child at elementary school, I would go home to my parents and say, okay, we were supposed to talk about this. If there's a fire, I'm going to go out this window and I'll meet you behind the bushes. I mean, I was like, it's a ranch house. It's like a 2-foot drop out the window. I'm out. That was my fire escape plan. I went home and told my parents, I said, let's go to your room. I was like 2nd grade. Okay, if there's a fire and we hear the beep, beep, beep of the small little house, I think we're going to be fine in a fire in that house. It was pretty easy to get out. There was a ranch style house, 2 or 3 feet of windows, and you just go out the window. There's fire. Feel the doors. I was lecturing my parents about that. And so we have to have backup. And so here's where we'll meet. If we all get separated, we all go out different windows, let's make sure we meet here. And we had a meeting place. And I was orchestrating this all as a second grader. And my parents were like, oh, yes, little Jimmy, that's very fantastic. I need all of you to have a backup plan as well. I need you to have a backup plan when it comes to where you're going to listen to the show. Should you have the unforeseen circumstance that Rachel had, that she says, oh, it didn't notify me. Well, do you know how to find me? Well, you type in facebook.com/Red Wave America, facebook.com/The Media Equalizer, facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey fan page. Listen, don't expect Zuckerberg to do all the work for you. You need to have it bookmarked and know the exact page to go to. If Facebook's down for you, you get blocked off Facebook, know you got to go to Twitter, know YouTube. Have your backup plan there. Have your backup plan. By the way, I saw this meme. We should do a segment on this, producer Chad. It could be a question of the day. What are the things as a child that you thought you'd have to deal a lot more with? For instance, stop, drop, and roll. I thought that was going to be a real important thing that we learned, because you practice a stop, drop, and roll if you catch on fire, and also have your escape plan on how to get out of your house in case your house burns down. That was Fire Safety Week, and I remember that. I thought there was going to be a lot of stop, drop, and rolling. And I've never known, and I'm glad, I guess, God bless them, I've never known a friend that had to stop, drop, and roll. If you've had to stop, drop, and roll, please let us know your testimony, because obviously you're still with us, and we're glad that you learned that feature of stop, dropping, and rolling. Another thing that I thought I would have to deal more with as an adult, because I felt like television prepared me for it, I thought there would be a lot more quicksand out there. Always worried about the quicksand. All the cartoons, all the television shows, all the adventure shows, somebody always got stuck in quicksand. And I thought there would be a lot more quicksand problems in my life. And there's not. I haven't had any quicksand problems my whole life. Matter of fact, I've never run across quicksand. I've been in the jungles of Africa. I've been in the far reaches of South America. The only place I really haven't spent a lot of time is Asia. I mean, I've been places, and I've never had the quicksand problem. Anybody else remember that? I thought we were going to have to deal more with quicksand and stop, dropping, and rolling. I thought those were going to be two big things that I was prepared for, but I've never faced them. Just never had to encounter. I made a list one time because I have OCD sometimes, and I made a list. I go find my list and all the things that I thought as a child, that as a young man, that I thought I'd have to deal with as an adult. I'm going to write those down, and we will deal with it. Anybody else think is it just me? You thought you had to deal with quicksand a lot? I thought quicksand was a part of life. There was a part of me, I wrote down killer bees. I remember killer bees were a thing. And I remember during COVID, they had the wild hornets. Yeah. Jeff puts this on. I thought I was going to deal with more algebra. I thought algebra was going to be a big part of my life as well. I thought for sure one day, when I first got the concert business and built the Lakey Entertainment Towers off a very successful music business for a period of time. But when I first built the Lakey Entertainment Towers and we started doing concerts, you, of course, have to do settlements in the do settlements in the back room, and you had a lot of. I thought this would be algebra. I thought we had to figure out pi in the settlement room for the concerts. Or Ticketmaster were selling tickets. I didn't have to solve for anything. I just had to do 1 + 1 + 1 calculus. Yeah, I get the idea. Math, you thought it was going to be a very important part of daily life. It has not been. Acid rain. There's one. Acid rain was a big one. Remember the hole in the ozone layer? I thought that was going to pretty much be it. I thought the ladies using the Aquanet were going to kill us all, spraying the hair up. And I lived in Texas, so there was a lot of Aquanet, because in Texas there's a theme that's called the bigger the hair, the closer to God. And they tease that stuff up there. Yeah, I thought these were going to be real issues. I go back to quicksand. I thought it was going to be a big deal, but it's not a big deal at all. It's just not. And I regret that. Well, I don't regret that. Stop, drop, and roll. How many of you practiced stop, drop, and roll? You really did. I mean, we all prepared for it. I thought it was going to be a skill that everybody was going to have to learn this skill one day. It's like trimming your fingernails. Everybody's going to have to learn to stop, drop, and roll. And yet I've never known one person that had to stop, drop, and roll. So I'm just disappointing. We spent a whole time, and I took my family aside and I led them around as like little Jimmy and led them around our fire escape plan if we ever going to escape our ranch style 3-bedroom home in the Dallas area that has windows everywhere. And I made us practice. I mean, I'm going to go out the window. I did all that. And yet now I thought it was going to be a bigger deal. I just thought it was going to be a bigger deal, but no, it's not. All right, what else got the news? Steve Laffey is coming up here in just a few moments. Steve Laffey always likes to tweak some of you. Some of you get very, very tweaked by Steve Laffey. I like it when you do that, by the way. Duck and cover. That was stop, drop, and roll, duck and cover. I thought these were real issues we were going to have to deal with. I thought they were big deals. I'm still looking for. Okay, here's a question. Serious. We got to get back to the news here. Don't distract me. Has anybody ever seen quicksand? Is quicksand a real thing? Because it was a big deal, man. I remember riding my Huffy bicycle out in the woods and the forest and making trails like you did before we had the helicopter parents and I was a free range child, right? I was a free range child and just roamed and went out and the street lights came on. You better get home quickly, or you may hear parents screaming in the neighborhood, "Get home!" and you're doing that. Then there was going to be a butt whoop, right? There's going to be some bad stuff happen to you if you didn't behave yourself. Well, all right, I just looked at the screen. Is that Jeff that said that? I never went blind playing with myself. Well, that was another one they told you. You're going to go, yeah, there were so many lies you were told as a kid. Quicksand. Sorry. You warn me about those comments next time, producer Chad, because I could have had coffee in my mouth and could have been a bad thing. Never went blind. You wear glasses? I'm just seeing if it had any effect. All right, we got to get back to the news here. Back to the news. Jasmine Crockett. We've been talking about her, the congresswoman from the Dallas area. She's just a hot mess, isn't she? She's just a hot mess. And she made a speech at the Human Rights Foundation speak thing in California, and she called him Governor Hot Wheels. And a lot of people feigned, oh my God, never heard such. Well, first of all, Jasmine's a big mess. I want you to watch this. I'm just predicting this. I want you to watch this thing that is quite obvious, I think, to me, that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, unqualified and incompetent as she is, a barmaid, wiping the counter of the bar, do you want ice, do you want rocks or no rocks? She becomes a rich congresswoman, right, in just a matter of 6 years. Around $1 million, according to her own congressional filings, and there's probably some other deals coming down the pike. Well, I think Jasmine Crockett is looking, going, well, if I say stupid stuff and I'm unqualified and incompetent, but if I just say stupid, outrageous things, then I can also get attention, become a media darling, get speaking fees, and start inside trading tips, and I can also start being some. I just want you to watch and see if there's ever going to be a time in which Jasmine Crockett and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are known not to be friends because I think a lot of times jealousy sets in there, and one lady gets jealous of the other lady for taking her game plan and taking the spotlight and the camera. These are women, Jasmine Crockett and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are ladies that were raised like Kardashians. They like the camera. They do a lot of selfies. They do this all the time. They do the selfies. They do all that. And when you got two selfie women out there, they're going to get jealous of each other. So watch out. Jasmine's out calling Governor Greg Abbott Hot Wheels. Now, I'm going to be honest. I know friends that you I know that you are, sorry, I just read a comment there. Roger's late to the party. Can't believe you didn't wait to start. Show I was here. Can you start over? No. Although $20 is $20, which back it up. We'll do that here in just a second. Anyway, watch out for the Jasmine and AOC controversy. I think that's coming to you. Now, I do know friends in Texas that are Republicans that have referred to Greg Abbott in that phrase. It is a common moniker of calling him Hot Wheels. It's not necessarily, some people think it's funny. Some people mean it as an offense, but it is a common moniker. So I don't want to sit here and feign puritanical Victorian views and go, I can't believe that ever call him Hot Wheels. It's been done before. She's not the creator of the phrase Hot Wheels. He's been called Hot Wheels before. But with Jasmine Clark wanting to knock Ted Cruz in the head, she wants to take out Elon Musk, and now throwing out the Hot Wheels moniker, probably not a bad thing. Now, what's interesting is her staff issued a question. A statement on it. What the congresswoman meant to say was this, and they issued a statement on it, and issuing a statement rather than saying, yeah, we said it, probably bad choice of words, but we respect the handicap or special needs or what are the politically correct way that they would say that, people in wheelchairs, we respect them at all cost. Instead, they said she wasn't talking about his wheelchair. She was talking about he's putting all these people on wheels and buses and shipping them to Democrat black cities. Is what she that was the actual statement. And sometimes the statement that you make trying to explain your buffoon to politician is dumber than the actual statement they said. All you got to say is it's a common moniker. We shouldn't have picked up on it. We won't do that again. And we love people in wheelchairs. All you had to say. But it becomes even more of a controversy when you try to explain it by just saying, yeah, we were talking about the buses that he sent to like New York City. That's why we call them Hot Wheels. But then they go back and it becomes a controversy again because 3 years ago, she was liking comments on Facebook. They called him Hot Wheels as well. Again, I'm not feigning any sanctimony here because I've heard people use that phrase, that moniker, and some people are fans of him. They're fans of his, and some people use it as a negativity, but probably not good to reference a guy in a wheelchair as Hot Wheels. Unless he has a sponsor, maybe he could refer himself to that. But anyway, Jasmine, she's just off the charts. She sprung a sprocket once again. Jasmine Crockett is blowing the sprockets. She is. All right, it's great to have all of you here. We got Steve Laffey coming up here in just a moment. SteveLaffey.com. He's going to join us. We'll continue to read the comments. And again, I just kind of a sudden question of the day that just popped up. What is it that you think are the things that you thought you were going to deal with more often? I thought it's quicksand. I thought quicksand was going to be a big deal. Somebody saw the algebras. You thought you were going to use calculus in real life. You haven't. I get it. They tried to prepare us for these things. It didn't work. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. Steve Laffey coming up next. Jimmy Lakey, stick around. There is I promise you, there is more to come here.
1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning is on call 24/7, even on weekends and holidays. We pride ourselves in our on-time guarantees. In addition to installation and repairs, we offer maintenance services. So no matter when you need us, you can always count on 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning to keep your system running. Check out our family of brands for all of your service needs, including electrical and plumbing.
1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
All right, here I am. I'm back. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here. Jimmy Lakey, second half hour underway of the Lakey Unleashed Daily Stream. Appreciate it. Good to see Corey Clinton. That was actually Corey in the video. He made a cameo in this commercial there. Good to have all of you here. Appreciate you. I really, really do. It's a glorious day the Lord has made, and I'm telling you, if you're not rejoicing, you should rejoice, because nothing else you should rejoice in. You and I are together here in a forum and speaking freely. All right. I'm reading some comments. I just got a text message. It's not nice. Well, it's funny. All right, good to have all of you here. Let me bring in Steve Laffey, SteveLaffey.com. He's a commentator, been on my radio show for many, many years, and he joins us here at the Streamcast. Commentator, author, ran for president and ran for Senate. He's the original Tea Party member that the Republican establishment tried to destroy in his run for Senate when he tried to take on the establishment. Read his book, Primary Mistake, if you want to hear that whole story. Steve Laffey, good morning, sir.
Jimmy, what a great show. This is great. And a beautiful day the Lord has given us. Exactly right.
Did you ever think you're going to have to deal with quicksand as an adult? I thought quicksand was going to be a big deal. And they taught us what quicksand was in all the television shows and adventure shows. And I thought quicksand was going to be a big deal. It's not.
It's not. No. Not so far.
I remember, I don't know if you heard me, I was talking about Fire Prevention Week. They taught us fire prevention and had to have an escape route at your home. So we had a one-story ranch with 3 bedrooms, and I made my parents show which window we were all going to go out if the fire caught. And I thought stop, drop, and roll was going to be a big deal as well. Never had to stop, drop, and roll. Never knew anybody to stop, drop, and roll. So just throw that out there, Steve. Just a lot of things they taught us we didn't need.
Think about quicksand. If you ever watched The Lone Ranger, if you ever watched any of those shows growing up, everybody got caught in quicksand.
Yeah, and I've never seen it. I'm trying to find quicksand.
Anyway,
and I've never known anybody that had to stop.
J.D. Vance is caught in his own quicksand. He can't get out of, but that's another deal. Anyway.
All right, Steve Laffey, my friend, is with us here. Let's dive into a couple of topics, Steve, and looking forward to it. Let's talk about J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, I think one of the European papers said he's the most dangerous man in the world right now. Give me your thoughts. J.D. Vance causing controversy, and I'll let you explain it.
Well, JD Vance has destroyed himself. Forget this is something that is so obvious. And I talked about you when he was nominated. He was the worst nominee of all time. He's a sycophant completely for the president, but he doesn't realize that when you're a sycophant, the only time you're not is when you roll out of bed and tell your wife goodbye. Once you walk out that door, you've got to keep to the script. You can't be in an how many times have I been in an elevator in the Morgan Keegan Tower when I worked there for 9 years and heard someone say something so stupid that I knew they were talking about, recognized and they were in for a job interview and they never got the job. Stuff like that. He doesn't realize that when he's on a call, going back to Saturday's call with the signal call that never should have happened. I mean, they don't know how to run a meeting. JD Vance is the vice president, I guess the ranking person in the meeting. He didn't call the meeting. You never get on a meeting with 18 people texting that you don't know who they are, ever. Folks, just so you know, never do it. When you get on a Zoom call, you know who everybody is. So he doesn't know enough not to do this, neither did Peter Hegseth and the other people also. So, and inviting a reporter in inadvertently, but probably showing that Mr. Waltz, the former congressman, actually has some behind the scenes doing. But here's the thing that people aren't talking about. JD Vance undermined the president in every comment he made. He said, and let's go through what he said on the call, because by the way, it's a call like we're having now. Let's say we're having Thanksgiving dinner or we're having a business meeting about how to grow a radio show. And a guy over in the right-hand corner says, I hate the Jews. Wouldn't your head jerk and say, we're talking about a business to grow a radio program for Jimmy Lakey and how to get it bigger. What are you talking about? Why would they go into talking about Europe? Like, who would do that? Nobody would do this except for these people. So the 4 comments he goes into, he says, number 1, quote, I'm not sure the president knows how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. He's suggesting that the Yemen operation contradicted Trump's broader foreign policy conflict. It does not. The president, to his credit, is going after Yemen as he contacts Iran, who backs the Houthis, right? He's going after the Houthis. As he tells them, you better dismantle or we're going to destroy your nuclear stuff and we're going to destroy you. It's extraordinarily consistent. Good for the president, right? But JD Vance is undermining him in a group of 18 people, and now the whole nation knows, right? Second, he's talking about the potential for a, quote, he highlights, quote, the potential for a significant increase in oil prices resulting from military action. No, he doesn't understand geopolitics. The Houthis are bombing a shipping lane, trying to take out shipping, trying to take out everybody Iran's oil going through the Suez Canal. And when you stop the Houthis and then deal with Iran, you will have lower prices for oil. He either doesn't understand it or is caught in a time warp of hatred for Europeans, right? And by the way, Trump does not hate Europeans. He's doing transactional stuff. I may disagree with it. You've talked about it, the way to handle it, but he's doing transactional stuff that he thinks will help America as he gets Europe to obey different laws or tariffs or whatever it may be. We're going to discuss that today. 3, the president says, go. We're going to hit these people, and he tells someone to go hit them. There's no need for a meeting, right? There's no need for 18 people to be in a meeting. And so JD Vance is advocating for, quote, postponing the operation for a month, end quote, to better communicate it's important and assess the economic situation. These are the Houthis in one of the poorest countries in the world, Jimmy. This is ridiculous that he's even saying this. And 4th, why go off? Vance says, quote, if you think we should do this, let's. I just hate bailing out Europe again because more stuff going directly to Europe in trade goes through the Suez Canal than directly goes to America. But it affects America greatly. I mean, so all of this is complete nonsense. And it goes to why the President Trump, he actually knows this now, Jimmy.
Yeah.
He knows Vance is against him. He knows he made a bad pick, and he's going to throw him under the bus like he always does at some point when it's convenient for him. I think he may assign him to an impossible mission and watch him fail, much like Biden did with Harris on the border. Go down
the border czar.
The border czar, right? So Vance is done, totally done, and discredited now among everybody. Even if you like him, he's totally discredited about lack of knowledge of everything I just talked about. He's a joke.
It's going to be interesting to see because I saw those comments by Vance, and I said, that's not necessarily the smartest thing to say in a meeting. Even if you feel that, you go to your boss. You don't say that with the other employees in the company. You're the right-hand man, and you're probably a bad move by JD.
If young people are listening, this is what you don't do.
Yeah.
When you're in a meeting, and I was the president, Alan Morgan was the CEO, there was never a meeting where I said, I don't think Alan knows what he's talking. I mean, I would go to Alan and say, Alan, I think you're wrong about this. And then when we walked out of the room, he's still the CEO. And even if I thought he was wrong, I walked out and said, here's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the same thing. And again, shouldn't happen. Media probably overhyped it. I mean, they ignored Joe Biden releasing his documents but again, shouldn't happen. Mike Waltz says he's going to try to find out who added this person to the text chain and the call. But it shouldn't have happened. Mike Waltz says that he'll figure it out. But again, it's very telling. Should it be true that JD Vance said that?
And as we're speaking, literally as we're speaking, the reporter for the Atlantic paper that put out some stuff is smarter than the people commenting, because he waited for the people to say, literally it just came out. It's right here in front of me. Okay, here it is right here. Heggs has said nobody's texting war plans. And now the reporter put out more stuff where they're actually having war plans. He just put it out now as we're speaking. So he waited for all they had to do was say, we really screwed this up. I'm very sorry. It'll never happen again. By the way, remember that, young people. If you screw up, just say, I'm really sorry, whether it's to your wife or I screwed this up.
Yeah.
You watch basketball players make mistakes, and all of them say three people on the floor say, I screwed this up.
You pointed yourself. I said the same thing about Jasmine Crockett, the representative from Texas. She called Governor Abbott Hot Wheels. It's a known name. I know people that like Abbott that have called him that. So I'm not going to feign some, oh my God, I can't believe she said that. He's been called that before. Her press secretary came out and said she wasn't referring to his wheelchair. She was referring to him putting illegal aliens on buses and trains to ship them out of Texas into New York. And I'm like, well, it's documented that you've used the phrase Hot Wheels before. You've liked it before, even before he was ever shipping people. Just say, hey, we should have said that. We love people in wheelchairs and God bless America.
Exactly.
But again, they try to spin it and instead of going, we did it. Sorry, own it. Right. They never want to own it.
But the ego gets away and they won't stop. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, as young people, pay attention. Steve Laffey, you sent me a headline here. The Wall Street Journal. Are Pop-Tarts on the chopping block? You know, I'll let you talk about Bobby Kennedy here, but I found it amazing, and I didn't realize this until the last few years. How many of the foods that we eat in America that they sell in Europe, they to me mostly taste the same, but they're made differently because the Europeans have a different standard of their food and the chemicals they put in there. And for instance, Ritz crackers, I don't think you can buy Ritz crackers because Ritz crackers, which is one of my favorites, not anymore, haven't had any a year since I learned what they're made of. It's basically a chemical compound is all the Ritz cracker is. Bobby Kennedy, it's important, but there's other things that I hope Bobby Kennedy, I think this is your point, can focus on besides red dye. I mean, there's a lot of other things in our healthcare system that need to focus on.
The article is one that I heartily support. If indeed, when it comes to food stamps, and you and I haven't talked about food stamps in a long time, but if they can cut out what you can buy with food stamps, because with food stamps today, not to go into, you can buy chocolate bars. It's ridiculous, right? Yeah. So it'd be better to give people food like rice and beans, and it'd be cheaper than to send people food stamps and then let them just get whatever they want.
Twinkies and ho-hos, that's a bad thing.
Well, that's what people are buying. And if you've been in a store, even in Fort Collins, you've seen this act. I mean, people have seen this happen. I've seen it my entire life. And of course, my father would never do, we didn't have any money, but he would never have done this. Never sent me with a free lunch, which we qualified for. Never. He just they sent me to school with day-old Wonder Bread, one side mayonnaise, one side French dressing, and called it a sandwich. That's what I got. Oh, one side ketchup. It's actually French dressing. And that's what I called for a sandwich. But this is really big. Everybody's worried about it politically, this and that. But if we can get on the chopping block really bad food for people out of food stamps, and I'd be wanting to get rid of food stamps myself, but and just giving people food if they really needed it, right? If we can do that, we can start to make people healthier. Let's face it, a Pop-Tart, which I love, a fig Newton, which I love as a treat. I love Pop-Tarts. I'm still waiting for someone to bring back noodles Romanoff in a box because they don't make it anymore, right? Or how about 1, 2, 3 Jello? People don't even know what I'm talking about, but to get rid of this stuff and make it only for real food, if you did it, would really improve the health of people. Because what you see in America, what you don't see in France, is a poorer class working people who may be on food stamps. I don't know what they do in France, but they're really fat, they're really obese. They're really overweight and unhealthy. You don't see that in France. In fact, I've been to Europe so many times. My son's at school there. I'm going there next week, 2 weeks. Long story short, you can eat a lot of food there, and somehow you don't gain weight when you come back.
Yeah.
And this stuff in our food, without going into it so much detail, that is killing people. And we just pray that, other than red dye and a lot of things, we can just get this stuff out so they stop doing it like they do in Europe. People would be healthier.
Yeah, it is amazing that you don't see the poor classes in other areas that have an obesity problem. I just came back, and God bless all of you in Texas. I don't mean to be offensive, but Texas is a large tribe. There's some largeness in Texas, and I tell you, you eat well in Texas. There's a lot of good eating in Texas. But I had to stop by a grocery store there, and you saw somebody with a little card. I think that was their EB. Whatever the card is, and it was loaded up with sugary drinks and some fast food and like a pack of sandwich meat. That's what they were using their card for at I think it's called the Kroger there in the Texas area.
If you drive, which I did one day, from Breckenridge, Colorado, stopped at a hotel with my family and just slept, and then kept driving to Mississippi, and have your wife tell you to go to the Walmart because we needed a crib. This is a long time ago. You go from the skinniest part of the skinniest state. Colorado's the skinniest state. Breckenridge, probably the skinniest people, let's say, up at altitude. And you go to Walmart, Mississippi, you will think you're on a different planet.
Yeah. You will.
I mean, I wish I had videotaped sort of the trend like you saw in Texas. We've got to stop this and stop making people healthier. If we can do that, the cost level of Medicare, the cost level of Medicaid, which we got to get a lot of people off, obviously, we can take this healthcare cost level down dramatically without even dealing with the stupid hospitals and the overcharging. We can take it down because people will be healthier. This is now trillions of dollars. Forget about this stupid stuff they're working on. This is trillions of dollars over 10 years of people being healthier that we can take out of the system as our deficit is totally out of control.
Steve Laffey, it's always a pleasure, sir. I appreciate you as always. SteveLaffey.com. SteveLaffey.com. Hey, people can still get your book, Primary Mistake,
yeah,
can't they?
People still do it, and people still actually find me to talk about, from my Wikipedia, to find me about running for office because of Primary Mistake, the book.
Yeah.
Like people will say, I'm thinking of running for the U.S. Senate. I won't give any names. I read your book. It's like a primer for this. Does that what really happened? Or can I go over this with you?
Yeah,
or someone has them read the book and they call me.
Give the quick synopsis. If folks don't know, I remember that before I ever knew you. I remember seeing you on the news because you were challenging.
I'm a successful mayor. We turned around the city. I get ready to run for the U.S. Senate thinking this is going to be great. The Lincoln Chafee is the existing U.S. Senator. He is far to the left of Nancy Pelosi, far to the left. So on any issue, he wants young children brought across state lines without their parents' access at 14 to get an abortion. He's totally off the reservation. He hates the Republican Party, and Liddy Dole has me come down there and say they want to support him. I'm like, you don't want to support him. As a Christian, let's not do it. So I am the only elected Republican to run for higher office to be attacked by the National Republican. And it'd be one thing if they preferred conservative senator, whatever. They preferred Lincoln Chafee. And so they defeated me by 3,000 votes when I would have won 75-25 in an election because of a quasi-independent, voting in that state, which in Rhode Island, where I'm from. And then Lincoln Chafee proceeded to not just lose the Sheldon White House, giving the Democrats a lifetime seat of a crazy man, right? Politically crazy man, right? Not only that, he did exactly what I said he was going to do. He left the Republican Party, became an independent, became the most unpopular governor in the history of Rhode Island, and then left the independency, became a Democrat, endorsed Barack Obama over Senator McCain, who helped him out. I mean, the whole thing is crazy, and it always was crazy from the Republican Party to do this because we could have won the race. Because if they had left me alone, he never would have beat me. He would have been an independent. And for at least 6 years, I believe, with 39% of the vote, I would have defeated 2 left-wing crazy people politically.
Yep.
And at least for 6 years would have been a vote.
You had McCain and the brass of the Republican Party out there campaigning against you, and that's the book called Primary Mistake.
Yeah. My primary, the National Republican Party's mistake, a giant mistake, never happened in the history of the party before, according to Craig Shirley, Reagan's biographer, who wrote about me. If you want to read one thing about it, read Ann Coulter's quote, type in right now, they shot the wrong Lincoln Chafee.
There you go. Steve Laffey, SteveLaffey.com. Appreciate you, my friend. God bless. We'll talk to you again next week. He joins us every week at the same time. It's a fascinating story. And I remember when I first saw Steve Laffey ended up moving out to Colorado, and my buddy Patrick Davis, who helped me with my congressional run back many years ago, was helping Steve Laffey make a political run, and got introduced that way, and the rest is history. But a fascinating story. SteveLaffey.com. Primary Mistake is the name of the book if you want to hunt it down somewhere. It's probably circulating, probably eBay, used copies. I guess it prints new. I don't even know. But check it out. It's a great book. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is, I don't know where you're at. A lot of you watching in different parts of the America. It's nice outside. Very nice day today. The wind has been blowing in Colorado. I think today's the day that the winds start to die down, and it's just going to be nice in the 70s. What that means, though, my friends, is that people are starting to circulate and percolate and thinking about their real estate decision. They're thinking about what they want to do next. Maybe you're like me, you become an empty nester in a big house and you're like, I don't need all this space. Maybe I could go somewhere else. Maybe I relocate. I don't have a plan to do that, but it's crossed my mind. Maybe you're starting a family. Maybe you're wanting investment property. Listen, whatever the case may be, for your real estate needs, this is the time of year that if you can sell your home, inventory's low right now, get up there, and you're going to get some great advice from Sherry Cree. Also, you're looking to buy, because inventory's low, you have to have somebody with an eagle eye out there looking for the right place for you and your family. HomesWithSherry.com. If you're everywhere, just take that I-25 drive corridor through the Denver area up to Fort Collins, down towards Castle Rock, out east towards Aurora, Boulder. You get the idea of the whole area. Hello, Parker. How's everybody in Parker this morning? Parker, Colorado. HomesWithSherry.com. HomesWithSherry.com. Her focus is really on just giving back. She treats you with that same kind of respect. She donates a portion of her compensation to the client or your charity of choice. She's going to go above and beyond. Here's the first time I knew that she was above and beyond. You know, a lot of times on moving day, realtors, and I've had this happen, they'll ship you a pizza to your home while you're unpacking boxes. Sherry has her husband, when possible, cook a gourmet meal, a hot meal, and delivers it to them in a very nice fashion. I mean, again, it's just the little things. It ain't pizza, my friends. It's a gourmet home-cooked meal delivered to the family on moving day. Again, a portion of the proceeds go to the charity of your choice. She takes it off her end of it. She also gives a deduction in compensation or commission if you're a military, a veteran, a first responder. You need to talk to her. HomesWithSherry.com. Her goal is not to just sell your home tomorrow this year. She wants to become your realtor for life. She wants to build that connection with you so that the next time you ever think about buying, selling, upgrading, downgrading, buying a rental property, whatever the case may be, she's going to work on it. I think she'll do it. She can be top of mind. You ain't going to do this to nobody but Sherry. She's my person. You got to do it. HomesWithSherry.com. It is time now. Now is a great time to start preparing. You know, again, by June, home tours and visits, they start to decline because people start getting busy on vacations, and they're busy with kids, and the summer gets kind of caught up. So now's the perfect time to get into the real estate world, whether you're buying or selling. HomesWithSherry.com, HomesWithSherry.com. Again, she'll talk to you about how your real estate transaction can be a part of you creating generational wealth for your family. So HomesWithSherry.com. She'll have a conversation with a consultation with you and point you in the right direction. And I highly recommend HomesWithSherry.com. There's her lovely photo on the screen. Listen to real estate. Sherry Cree, HomesWithSherry.com. And make sure you mention Jimmy Lakey when you reach out. And just go to the website, check it out. And I think you will be very, very thankful for my advice on this. HomesWithSherry.com. All right, what else do we have in the news here I want to get to? We're going to do meme roulette in just a moment. Prepare your hearts for that fun. That's going to be exciting. I got a couple of stories, though. Everybody see the story about the Oh, we talk about food and drugs and health. Trump's this is kind of cool. His director of the FDA has been approved, and we talk about Hegseth, and we talk about all these people, Kash Patel, the people that we were excited and paying attention to in their confirmation hearing. I was probably most excited. One of the most exciting persons for me was Bobby Kennedy, because I'm such a believer in some of the things that he has championed and warned against. And I like Bobby Kennedy. I really do. And again, politically on some things we totally disagree, but on his health stuff, I think he's a perfect nominee. Well, he's also now President Trump, meaning he has had a confirmation of the FDA director. It's Johns Hopkins School of Medicine professor, Dr. Marty Makary. He was confirmed yesterday in the Senate. His confirmation was cemented just hours after he completed a procedural vote. He's a former Fox News medical contributor, and he has focused a lot of questions on vaccinations, chronic illness, food safety, and abortion. And during his hearing, he faced scrutiny because he had some views on the old V word. We got to be careful. We'll get banned from the internet. He had some views on that. And I thought this was fascinating. If you're confirmed, this is a crazed Democrat wild woman from Washington. Her name is Senator Patty Murray. She's a crazed, wide-eyed woman. Aren't they all? So if you're confirmed, will you commit to immediately reschedule that FDA Vaccine Advisory Committee meeting to get to the expert views? And so she was like, well, you've got to, there's a meeting that's not happening. You got to have it. But he said, well, we will reevaluate with which topics deserve a convening of the advisory committee on vaccines. So she's like, well, you got to get the advisory committee together and talk about this stuff and get real views on vaccines because you have bad views on vaccines. And he says, well, when I get to office, I'll evaluate which things need to be convened for the advisory committee to happen. And his response wasn't good enough. So the wide-eyed, crazed Patty Murray, she's a gray-haired version of this. So she's wide-eyed and crazy. I print her photo. They're equally scary stuff right there. What is about liberal women? Just not pretty. His response wasn't good enough. So Patty Murray just kept, you got to do it. And so Makary, the nominee that got confirmation, shut the old battle axe down. He says, well, you want me to convene this committee? And here's what he said. Well, you could also ask the Biden administration that chose not to convene the committee meeting for the COVID vaccine booster. He was referring, Makary's like, you're telling me I don't have proper views on vaccination and we should always go through this committee and I've got to convene the committee so we can get the truth about the V word, right? We got to get the truth about it. And he's referring to the Biden administration in 2021 pushing through FDA approval for every one of the booster shots over the age of 18, but they didn't put together the committee together. That Patty Murray's like, you got to have the committee. The committee's got to decide all these things. And he's like, well, why didn't you want Joe Biden to have the committee? And it's called the Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee. You didn't seem to be bothered that Joe Biden's FDA did not convene the committee, and they just randomly, off the cuff, decided that we're going to approve this vax for 18 plus. And at that point, old Patty Murray, the wide-eyed battle axe, to shut up, and she left it alone. Again, Democrats, don't try to claim moral high ground. It's not a good look on you. You have not a topic out there, in my humble opinion, that you have any moral high ground on. You are basically an immoral group in many instances. I mean, you can't sit there and try to claim the moral high ground that we got to have this committee on the vaccinations and you've got to convene it, sir, because if you're nominated, tell me you'll reconvene committee. And he says, well, we'll look at it. We'll see a possibility. And she stares at him and gives him the evil eye like he left the toilet seat up with his ex-wife. She's staring at him and angry. And he says, well, if you're going to be angry with me, don't forget Joe Biden and his FDA approved a vaccine for 18 years and up and never conveyed the committee. It was just some decision that some guys made in the backfield room. So don't lecture me, old Patty. You might want to get your roots done also. Turn total gray. And Patty Murray shut up, and he was confirmed to the FDA, and I say good for him. Story in Colorado. I meant to cut and paste the image of here. They took down the photo of Donald Trump from the state capitol in Colorado. And it's not that they didn't, and I wish I would have screenshot this and put it up there. It's not that they took it because they didn't like Trump. Republicans requested it down because evidently the artiste that painted it had him look a little puffy. He looked more like me, a little puffy. And I've got to make Jimmy healthy again. I'm working on it, my friends. I'm working on it. So we're working on that. But they thought it was a distorted view of Donald J. Trump. Not necessarily a battle I probably would have picked because Colorado's run by loons anyway. And so, but they say, so I saw the artwork and I said, yeah, it kind of looks like Trump. I'd know who it was if they told me who's it's painting of, but it's not a good painting. And I said, well, it's a crappy artist, man. Who hired the artist? Was she stoned on something? It is Colorado. She might have been stoned off her gourd. I mean, you never know. But then they said the paintings of the same artiste in Colorado did at Democrats were actually stunningly beautiful, but the one they did at Trump was not very good. So I'm not sure if they're going to replace it, hire a new artist or whatever. But if you read the headline that Trump's photo portrait has been removed from the Colorado Capitol, don't panic. It was Republicans who said we can't have our commander-in-chief look puffy. And he did look a little bit. It's a horrible painting. I mean, it looked like something that a first-year art student. Doug Giles paints much better Donald Trump's than this woman did. I think it's a woman artiste. So if you had that story. All right, I got a lot of other stories I didn't get to, and tomorrow we want to pick up on this. Donald Trump has signed an executive order. And it is an executive order that, so he's hoping all these executive orders get codified. Again, you can celebrate all the executive orders you want, but if Congress doesn't take action, none of it matters, okay? You got to understand, you got to get Congress to start taking action. So he signed an executive order that says if you don't require voter ID, citizen proof that they're here, and you cannot count any ballots after Election Day, period, and there's a hard cutoff. And he signed an executive order saying if states don't do this, then they risk losing federal funding. And I think it's a great move, but I think it needs to be codified. Now, I don't know if you know this. Our neighbors, I'm in Colorado, many of you know, watching across America. We're in Colorado doing this little streamcast that we call it. Our neighbors up north in Wyoming, they just passed a bill that passed, and it basically requires you have to have proof of citizenship, and you have to have been there for the last 30 days as a citizen. Now, I saw the headline that the Republican governor, who sometimes can be a little wishy-washy, in my opinion, but, you know, he's representing the entire state. I get it. He didn't sign the bill. He let it pass by acclamation, and it just kind of passed a proclamation. It passed. You don't sign it within a certain period of time, it becomes law. And I'm like, why wouldn't you sign this bill? Well, the governor of Wyoming, and if you didn't know this, he didn't sign the bill, but it still became law. It's the law of the land. You have to have proof of citizenship. He thought that the law kind of ran in contradiction to the state's constitution in this one manner, especially. The state's constitution says residency should be defined as you have to have been there for 30 days. The law says you had to have been there for a year. And so that the governor says it's kind of conflicting here. I like the purpose of it, but you guys passed this bill and you didn't reconcile it against what the actual Constitution says. So I'm not going to sign it, but it still became the law of the land. And so you got Wyoming requiring voter ID and proof of citizenship, and now you have the president signing a bill or an executive order saying you could lose federal funding for this. I like it, but again, you got to remember if Congress has to pass some of this stuff, and if Congress doesn't pass any of this stuff, none of it is any good. Former Attorney General Bill Barr, remember Bill? He was Donald Trump's second or third choice, finally became the Attorney General, was good until after the January the 6th stuff, and Bill Barr, like a lot of Republicans at the time, took out the long knives for President Trump. Well, Bill Barr was on the old Fox News channel just recently, and it's amazing some of the people that betrayed or turned on Trump after J6 because they believe the media. People are such wimps. They heard about Russia, so they didn't give Trump a lot of what he wanted early because they thought it could be true because the media said so. It could be true. These are insurrectionists. Why? Because the media said so. And then you find out the media is lying to you a lot. Well, Bill Barr has come out and he has said that the judges out there are usurping President Trump's executive authority. So a lot of you, again, there's a lot of people, they like Bill Barr. He's an honest broker, man. He's an honest player because he can call out Donald Trump after January the 6th. Okay, great. So you love Bill Barr. You think he's a classy guy? Well, former Attorney General Bill Barr on Tuesday slams the court rulings that are blocking President Trump's effort to deport illegals that are accused of being part of a violent gang. He says they're trying to usurp the presidential powers. U.S. District Court Judge James Boasberg early this month issued a temporary blocking order, a temporary block to the Trump administration from using the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. Barr says that Boasberg oversteps his authority in the ruling. It violates the president's constitutional power to decide how to handle foreign nationals the White House believes or pose a threat to national security. There's a pattern whereby the district court judges are trying to usurp the responsibility of the president in the national security area. The president is absolutely right to be frustrated and concerned about the way the courts are handling this. So again, Bill Barr, wrong side after January the 6th. He's on the right side of this one. And all of you who fell in love with Bill Barr because he was willing a couple of years ago to say not good things about Donald Trump. Well, guess what? The guy has an opinion here that I can agree with. The Constitution, quote, here's what he says, gives the president the power to make judgments about how we deal with foreign nationals, which are when we are animated by national security concerns. It's his call. It's not a district court's judge's call. The Trump administration has asked the appeals court to weigh in. They had a hearing, and we'll find out what they do. But Bill Barr, good for you. You got your heart right, and you are not blinded by your rage against Donald Trump to recognize that the courts are really overstepping their boundary. That's what I like. You can critique Donald J. Trump. You can critique him and say bad things if you want to, but that's fine. But at least don't be blinded by rage and blinded by frustration. Just recognize that be willing to agree. Don't just disagree because it's Donald Trump. That's what frustrates me is some people, because Trump said it, they think it's wrong. All right. Glad to have you here on the program, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to play Meme Roulette, a silly little game where we're just lazy and we're poor. It's a poor man's show. And because it's a very expensive hobby for producer Chad and I right now. So we're going to play Meme Roulette. I spin this little thing around and we say go round around the world. We're going to do that, okay? But also, don't forget, if you're not a Patreon subscriber, you should be. You know why? I did a great interview yesterday. And I say it's great because I did it. And I think I'm a decent interviewer. We talk about Davos. And we talk about the World Economic Forum. And we talk about the elites that are out there. That really, if you boil it down, and it gets talked about, it's about a new book that my guest had on, and it's about a 40-minute discussion, I believe, 35, 40 minutes. And we talk about these families that are kind of running the global economy and why nations are complicit in going along with the World Economic Forum. And it's such a powerful group of people. And this is a Patreon, patreon.com/Jimmy Lakey. The interview will drop today. If you're a Patreon follower, watch your inbox. You should automatically get notifications. Check later today. This interview is going to drop. I asked him, who are the names of these families? Now, he talked about Soros. That's a name you can say. Klaus Schwab, those names. But there were names, he says, I can't say them. He says they're in the book, but I can't say them because if we say them, you will get pinged for saying them. You will get shadow banned. It's kind of like saying this word on the YouTube and talking about Dr. Fauci. You say too much, they're going to come after you and they'll shut you down. And so there's some unspoken names on this, but it's at patreon.com/Jimmy Lakey. It's going to drop today. And it's a paid service. It's paid stuff. It's $9.95 a month, 7-day free trial. Yeah, you can go subscribe there. There are some things on there that I think you will find quite interesting that are free. There's a couple of free things on there. Probably should put some more free stuff up there soon. But I want you to go there, patreon.com/Jimmy Lakey. If you ever wanted to understand the World Economic Forum, what's happening and how America and populism and nationalism has risen up around the globe and kind of the times we're in and pushing back against these global elites. This is the interview, and it's going to drop today at patreon.com/Jimmy Lakey. 7-day free trial, nothing to lose. But a lot of stuff to gain. A lot of great interviews already up there available to you. Patreon.com/Jimmy Lakey. All right, before we play Meme Roulette, also remind you we got the Budget Home Supply presentation of the Rivers Promise Casino Gala, May 17th, right here in the glorious state of Colorado. Get your tickets. Get a table for your family. Get a table for your neighbors, your business. This is a great outdoor outing for a great outing for your company and for your employees, or just put a table together, or come just bring it. It's date night. It's the Omni Interlochen Resort in Broomfield, Colorado, right smack dab close to Boulder and Denver, and room blocks available. People are going to stay there for a staycation. It's going to be a great big party, and it's a casino gala benefiting our charity organization, Rivers Promise. Register at the events page at riverspromise.org. You'll see around the top, see our events, and you'll see the Rivers Promise Casino Gala. Love to see you there, and get your tickets soon. The price does go up as it gets closer, so you want to get those tickets soon. All the proceeds there will benefit charity that night. Rivers Promise, hope for children. American Casino Gala, May 17th, brought to you by Budget Home Supply in Longmont, Colorado. Thank you, Budget Home Supply. Go check them out. If you love the Longmont area, you want to check out Budget Home Supply. Great people. Here we go. I got it in my hand. Round around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, we don't know. We don't really care. I love this one. I've seen this before. In the middle of the Civil War. Look at there, 1862. Someone was like, you know what this country needs right now is a delicious steak sauce. You ever notice that? Only when I saw the meme did I recognize that that's what it says on the A1 sauce. 1862, they established middle of a civil war, people killing each other, brothers killing brothers, cousins killing cousins. We got to put out a steak sauce called A1. Yeah, we better do that. My dad loved A1. Round around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. It's Meme Roulette, stolen meme section of the show. Here's what would happen if Jesus tried to feed the 5,000 today. I'm sorry, Jesus, I can't eat that. I'm vegan. Is that bread gluten-free? Is this fish organic or GMO? That's true. It'd be very difficult to feed the 5,000 today. Very difficult. Around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. We're loaded up on memes today. Democrats, please calm down. Musk can't become president unless he can find the guy who made Obama's birth certificate. Just saying. Just leaving that, let that hang out there for a second. Don't worry, all you crazy-eyed Dems staring and angry. This is your mantra. This is what you look like. All of you look like this. Crazy-eyed, wide-eyed Dems. Don't worry, Musk cannot become the president unless he can find the guy that did Obama's birth certificate. Then he could. Round around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. This is something very important. Democrats once burned crosses to intimidate minorities. Now they burn Teslas to silent opposition. Nothing has changed. I know some of you Democrats out there say, that's not us, that's just some radicals. Well, why don't your party leaders condemn it? They asked, what is her name, Elon Omar, or one of those bat crap crazies, they used to call them the squad. They asked her, would you condemn the violence against Tesla? And they refused. Actually, point blank, they've asked Democrat leaders or quote leaders or prominent figures, do you condemn it? And they won't condemn it because they're very angry people out there. Jasmine Crockett included, blows a Sprocket. I think this woman's Sprockets went out long ago. All right, here we go. Round around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. This is so true. When you and the boys are drinking some whiskey and your broke friend says, hey, let's pop open that bottle of Blanton's there. That's what happens. That's the look you get. When you and the boys drinking the whiskey and your broke friend said, hey, let's drink the Blantons. If you don't know Blantons, it's a very nice bottle, very expensive, hard to get. Here we go. Round around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. I think we have a couple more here. 4D chess. Genius Trump leaks war plans to the Atlantic where no one will ever see them. That almost should be a Babylon B headline. It does. Here's our war plans. Let's give them to the Atlantic. No one's going to read that rag. By the way, did you even know they still had the Atlantic? I don't think I've ever read a copy of it. I think we got one more maybe. Round around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Did we milk it dry? Oh, no, we didn't. Okay, this one's going to take some splaining. Jimmy, you have some splaining to do. This is from the Houston Public Media, a service of the University of Houston. Here's a photo of, remember old Beto O'Rourke? He was going to be the glory boy of the new Democrat Party. He tried to become the governor, tried to beat Ted Cruz, and now he's just a nobody because he's always a nobody in Texas. Nobody cared except the national media about Beto O'Rourke. His name's not Beto. He pretended to be a Mexican, a Hispanic, but his last name is Irish. So he drank Modelo with his Guinness. He mixed them together. All right, so they're going to host a town hall near Houston. So old Timmy Waltz, Tampon Tim, and Beto O'Rourke, probably wears tampons, is going to host a meeting or a town hall, right? So this very big deal. Dan Crenshaw puts at the bottom of the story photo of Timmy Waltz and Beto O'Rourke and says, greater area of Houston is about to experience a 30% drop in the average testosterone level. You know, I think Dan's actually being kind. If you put those two together in the greatest Houston area, Beto O'Rourke and Tampon Tim, I think 30% is being conservative. I think it could be about a 47% testosterone drop average in the greater Houston area, just getting those two pansies in a room together. Jazz Hands Tampon Timmy, and old Beto O'Rourke. What's Beto doing now? Anybody know what Beto's doing? I don't even think Beto ended up with a job on CNN. I mean, he was such a puppet for the left, and he was there. They were the puppeteers out there. And I gotta look that up. What Beto do? Did he get rewarded for his good behavior? It's like because Democrats, they reward their losers. Stacey Abrams, remember, she got $2 billion just because being a good girl and shutting up and behaving herself. $2 billion for some fake NGO she formed. I wonder if Beto got any of that money. I mean, I thought Beto would get something because he was doing the bidding for the media and for the DNC. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to remember our charity organization, riverspromise.org. Don't forget, new interview going to drop here in just a bit on the Patreon page, patreon.com/Jimmy Lakey. Patreon.com/Jimmy Lakey. Charity, riverspromise.org. $30 feeds a kid for 2 meals a day for 1 month. $65 only feeds a kid 2 meals a day for a month, but it also sends them to school, provides health insurance, health care, health insurance, school uniforms, scholastic materials. Help us out there, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. I'd love to have you help us out with charity and give to the good Lord's work in Rwanda. That's what we're doing. I am Jimmy Lakey, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'll see you tomorrow. May God bless you. May God bless America. Jimmy Lakey, peace. I'm out of here.